Um, so if we jump in and try to do everything for them, which can feel really sort of make us useful in everything, they don't develop those capacities, and then they won't have them when they move out and have a job and are dealing with all these things on their own. So, we have to sort of stop and take a breath when that's our tendency, and really say to our son or daughter, what are the issues here? Kind of serving as a coach and saying, what are the problems? What are the issues? Who are the resources that you could go to? Maybe the first time I could help you find those resources online. So look together, look at our student affairs website, look at the health resources, find the counselors, the academic advisors, the coach, whoever it is, and then sort of coach them from the side to say, how could you go and advocate for yourself and ask the right questions? And then, I can be here for you to think it through again after you go get those information. But if we do it for them, then they don't develop those skills that they need to problem solve on their own. So it's perfectly appropriate to be on the sidelines, helping them figure it out, but having them do the steps necessary to find out what they need, what their options are, and then carrying those things out. So it might mean, going to a faculty and saying, I need an extension on something, and talking through with them how they can advocate for that. Like they have a real concern, a real problem, and they should be able to vocalize that with whoever they need to do that with. So really just coaching and empowering, and then being there for them as the follow through. Like, did you do it? How did it go? Do you want to role play? Those kinds of things is what I like to encourage parents to do, so that you can feel like you're part of it, but you're not doing it for them. It's really important that we let them take these steps, and they're going to make mistakes. College is messy. There will be big mess ups, and that's why we have staff here to help them and be there for them, to support them through those.
Thank you. I also remember another question from parents, a set of parents. So we've all heard about the three-pronged approach to wellness, Dr. Miller, nutrition, sleep, and hygiene. And college students can sometimes not pay attention to all three of them, maybe one, maybe two. Do you have any tips for parents how they can help their students remember that all three are equally important? And what are some of the resources they have on campus to achieve that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think particularly with the professions that these students are going into, it is of utmost importance to establish good patterns now. A lot of them will have challenging jobs, challenging because of odd sleep patterns for their shifts, being away from family, being away from support networks, not having maybe complete control over the food options on ships they work on. So I'm very excited actually to have Heather Hutchinson, who's one of the nurse practitioners here, and Angeli Acosta, who's a student health educator, start some new programs this year, particularly targeting those things, because while we still have them, I would like this for all my patients at all ages all the time, but while we have them here and have their attention, we really want a refocused effort on these things. So we're going to have nutrition education programs. I think we're talking once monthly is the plan. Sleep hygiene is something that I know Angeli and our other providers are already talking to them about, but I think that is again going to be another topic that Angeli is going to be running programs with them online about. And then hygiene, of course, is particularly important on ships because of the closed system. But I think with the COVID restrictions, they're going to hear a lot about hygiene this year. So I'm not worried about them not being educated about that.
So Doc, thank you very much. And you also served on the COVID health and safety task force throughout summer. Do you have any health tips from your experience there?
So I think, it's a moving target, and it's been very interesting as a provider and a physician to see how our knowledge has changed and grown since this started just in February, which is only a few months ago, but it seems like a lifetime ago now. And there's just been so many changes to what we know about it and how we treat it. But I think the thing that has really shown through is that if we do social distance, if we are very diligent about wearing our masks, that it works, right? Just case in point, we have a lot of COVID cases in our hospital, but not a lot of employees, right? Because we're following these guidelines. And I think it's becoming really clear that this is a respiratory borne issue, right, in small droplets, and masks are very good at preventing that spread, as is staying as far apart as possible. And the Health and Safety Task Force has really gone through each class and seen how we can distance people appropriately for each specific situation.
Thank you. Dr. McMahon, do you have any last words before you take off?
Yeah, thank you. I want to just add on to what Dr. Miller said. This campus is perfectly safe right now. The cadets are wearing their masks, they are social distancing, they're getting to-go food, they have their single rooms. What's going to be most important is that they practice self-accountability when they get here. And what that means is they have to really think about who they come into close proximity with and how they each individually take responsibility for not exposing themselves in public places. And so, as parents, it's going to be really important that you have that conversation before they come here, and that you check in occasionally about how that's going, because there will be temptations and opportunities to be in more public spaces. It's there for anybody, anywhere. And they're going to have their own discipline to say, what's important is that I stay healthy and I keep my community healthy. And I'm going to not do these other things that maybe I see other people doing. So, those are conversations I'm having with my children, and we have them periodically because it's easy to forget, or the temptation is there for young folks. So those are just important things to, it's going to need to happen throughout the fall semester. But with that,
just to add to that, it was very interesting. The nurse practitioner and I attended a virtual conference out of Cornell Wheel Medical a couple days ago, and some of the most important things are changing the culture, right? Changing the culture of the students, and making them believe that they are the most important and the most efficacious part of this campus staying safe. So we actually have some surveys going out very soon, and with the intent of showing them that it is the culture now, right? They are important, and we want to get an idea of what their beliefs about it is right now, so we can tailor information to them appropriately and see where maybe they have some deficits in knowledge and target that.
Agreed. Okay, so with that, I'll say just thank you all again for participating. It's nice to see your investment in your student success, and I look forward to getting to know you at some point over your time with your student here. And thanks, Benita, and thanks, Dr. Miller.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Miller, I see a question from Julie. What instructions do you give to students in regard to mask cleanliness, rotating masks, wearing a new mask every day, put a filter in, wash your homemade masks? What should we tell our student? What is a good process? And I'll add on a piece to it. Is the campus providing PPE to students who are not bringing masks, let's say, or what do we have on campus available for students?
Okay, that is actually a great question, because it's sort of, again, been changing as the different phases return to campus. I believe we have fabric masks for everyone, but I'm going to check that with the commandant. So I don't want to comment on that right this second for sure, but I'll get you an answer on that in just a few. Cloth masks are sufficient. I would recommend once daily wear on one mask, and then I'd have 3 or 4, just like t-shirts that you throw in the wash with your things, and I would just wear them one day and change it every day. As far as putting a filter in, so there's kind of different ways to look at that. Some of you may have seen these respirators with a small hole that you have to put a filter in, so they allow kind of an efflux of breathing. We don't want those on campus. We don't want anything with the vent on it. So some of the cloth masks have kind of a pocket that people can put an insert in. You can do that. You don't have to. Just a cloth covering or a surgical mask is sufficient.
Thank you. And
oh, there also is I don't know if Dr. McNee's presentation has gone up yet, but Dr. McNee has a great presentation on PPE that the cadets will get.
And do you know where she's planning to post that? On the COVID webpage?
I will find out.
Okay. So parents, just so you know, we do have a webpage specifically for COVID updates. So I highly recommend you kind of have that close by, that URL close by, so you can check on it on a regular basis. So Lisa has an interesting question, which says, since male cadets outnumber the female cadets significantly, how do we encourage our male cadets to be inclusive? Dr. Miller, you want to take a stab at it?
That's a big question.
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah, and they do. They certainly outnumber them by a lot. I will say from what I've seen, both on the ship and in class, I think the male cadets do an excellent job, as do the instructors, promoting equity both in the direct hands-on interactions as well as in the classroom setting. This is something, again, we're trying to tackle this year more so, both sexual equality on campus, but also racial programs. There's some things coming down the chute that we hope to get online this semester. Again, a lot of stuff up in the air. But I think also that's probably a question for faculty and for you, Benita.
Yeah.
If I can kick that back to you.
Yes. So Lisa, thank you for asking that question. I'm very pleased to share with you that our incoming class, so your students' class, is our best yet in terms of demographics within gender. So we have a 25% female cadets coming in this incoming class. So we're very pleased to have that. And I do some programming to improve awareness of situations that pertain to gender. We try to get students to attend. So, you know, there's a time for us parents and campus to partner. That's where we need your help to encourage your students to stay connected with what programming is being offered. So the campus, like Dr. Miller pointed out, does do programming, invite students to learn more about, not only about each other, but about how to be inclusive and how to be a bystander, how to be supportive of each other regardless of gender, but definitely to be an advocate for someone who's part of a minority. And if the parents are with us and they remind and encourage their students to participate, that's how we change culture. But like Dr. Miller said, we will have a different kind of challenge this year in engaging students with the added restrictions and limitations of COVID. But we plan to continue our efforts in making it a more inclusive campus. And for starters, we had a guest who we invited for the orientation, the virtual orientation program. So there's a tips on how to be inclusive, how to address and embrace your biases, and become self-aware, so you can change intrinsically, as opposed to making statements that you have no bias, no implicit biases. So there's a really good a presentation that's being shared with students during their virtual orientation, and it's my goal to invite that speaker back for the returning students as well. So thank you for asking that question. So we are requesting parents to send masks. Personally, I prefer the reusable masks. They're softer, they fit your face a lot better than the disposable ones. And from an environmental perspective, we're creating so much waste right now, that if we can go to a reusable version, that's definitely preferable. I personally use ones that come from Old Navy. I have no, I'm not getting anything out of it, but the ones from Old Navy are very, very good. They're 100% cotton. They're very soft, and they fit nice and snug on your face. Even on my face is really small, but it fits very well, and it's washable and comfortable. So I recommend those just from personal experience.
Yeah, and honestly, being in the hospital, I'll use something different, but just in daily life and when I come here, I use a cloth mask. And I absolutely agree with you with the amount of PPE waste we're creating, that I think whenever you're in a situation where you can use a cloth reusable mask that's washable, just use that. And I think that the data, what little data we have so far on it, shows that they're sufficient. But I will say, in situations, very tight classroom situations, we have additional things like face masks and face shields, depending on the situation. So of course, a lecture room where everybody can sit 6 feet apart is quite different than the diesel sim. And we're aware of that and adjusting appropriately.
All right, we're at 10:45, and typically, as previous calls, I have opened it up to parents who were not able to type in a question, or didn't want to type and want to talk about it. This is a good point to unmute yourself and ask a question verbally. Should there be none, then I will cover a couple questions from previous days. So go ahead, guys. All right. Dr. Miller, I know you have a health and safety meeting that you have to run to shortly. Would you like to say any final words before you take off? And I will keep the meeting going with answers to questions that were asked previously.
Okay. No, I think it's a great place. It's just a really special place. And I think with the small, kind of intimate size of this campus, the staff here at the Student Medical Center really know everyone fairly well. And if there is any kind of specific health concern you have about your cadet, please reach out to us. We want to know about what you're concerned about ahead of time so we can address it appropriately.
Thank you again so much for being with us today. Thanks
for asking me.
Absolutely. As Dr. Miller shared, please reach out to, have your students reach out to Student Health Center for any of their health and wellness needs, including psychological services. We've shared the numbers and phone numbers, and that's for Dr. Miller. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye. Parents, I am posting again in chat and a web link that I invite you to review. Moving on, you had asked about Thanksgiving through December. So going back to that again quickly, the fees that are being charged for room and board include that entire period. So if your student were to make that choice to go home, there will be no refunds that I'm aware of. So the operations are available and open for students until the 11th or the 12th of December. And they are welcome to stay and complete their virtual component of their coursework from campus. Drop off of emergency items that you recognize you need when you bring your student. We will have those instructions. We will have an opportunity for you to come right back and drop something off or even meet with your student as needed. Once the results are back and students are no longer in isolation, we will also have a rendezvous point where you can connect with your student in weeks to come. So those instructions and updates will be made available. But on the day of, we definitely will have something for you where you can drop things off. We got the sports physicals question answered. There was a question about ship ventilation and sanitization. So I've included that in the FAQs, and we will have more answers on that tomorrow with Melinda. And that was everything I had written down from previous calls. Do you have anything unrelated to health that I could address now, or at least take down if I don't have the answer? So go ahead and let's talk about it. You don't have to type if it's more convenient.
A quick question on if the kids stay there, the cadets, after Thanksgiving, there'll be food service also?
Yes, absolutely. Food and room and board, everything will be operational.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just not sure about flying back and forth from Honolulu.
Of course.
How many times?
Yeah.
And if even if when they come back to Honolulu, there's a 2-week quarantine for anyone entering the state. Is there any quarantines in California right now?
None that I'm aware of. There could be. I just don't have the answer to that question.
Okay, he'll fly in next Tuesday. Thank you.
Okay. Any other parents with questions? Getting beverages on the ship, is the water safe to drink? Yes, the water is safe to drink. Can they fill up a jug of water for their room? Yes, they can bring water to their room. You can have beverages of sugary ones and non-sugary ones and whatever your heart desires, as long as it's not alcoholic. Beverages are okay on ship in your room, not a problem. Okay, we don't need to stay on the call if there are no other questions. It's 10:50 and we can bid goodbye today and meet again tomorrow. So tomorrow's call, as a reminder, is at 4 p.m. and we will have our lead Res Life coordinator and our RHO, which is again Cal Maritime lingo for Residence Hall officer, that's a student position, student leadership position, Connor Crutchfield, and both of them will be with us tomorrow to answer your questions, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.